G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff Ukraine War update for the 20th of May 2026. As the war continues, the war of words continues, and the amount of denial from Ukrainian glazers continues. But the reality is, the war ain't going so crash hot. And Zelensky's deep strikes into Russia have not yielded the results he wants, and the companies who he is relying on increasingly are becoming unwelcome in Europe. Yet Europe doesn't know what to do because there's a war on. They don't want to give up on destroying Russia because destroying Russia means getting rid of a competitor. They want the space to themselves. They don't want others to have their own success. No, everyone has to be dependent on them. And if they could, they would set Russia and US against each other. But that hasn't worked out so well for them in Ukraine now, has it? And the Ukraine and UK, France and Germany all putting on brave faces, but you can't hide the truth forever. And of course the biggest threat to Ukraine is not Russia, nor China, nor the United States. It's itself and the hantavirus. If they can't lock it down, it's going to devastate their population. Now, it's very hard to suffer a healthcare crisis and a war at the same time. Just ask Constantinople. Alright, so we've got a lot of announcements coming out of Ukraine. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Move on. There are a lot of strikes on Ukraine. In fact, over 209 drones and missiles, of which Ukraine says, we got them all. And none of them magically did any damage except Sumy and Kharkov. And then they report 2 dead civilians, and the UN has a hissy fit. Now, you don't have a hissy fit in the UN over 2 dead civilians, unless, of course, they were not your average Joe Blog. And that's, were they special envoys on a secret deal? What were they doing near the front lines in Kharkov? Who knows? But for some reason, the Russians hit the parcel distribution centre in Kharkov, and the UN seems to be very upset over the 2 people who allegedly died there. It's rather odd, isn't it? Now, what's rather odd is this marker, because Ukraine's reported advances on and reported activity, but the map doesn't want to show an update. So, moving on. Believe me, don't believe me, doesn't matter. The map is what it is. It's only a guide. It's only a tool to give us a little glimpse into what's going on in the war. They don't want us to really know what's going on. And it's not pretty. And I don't want to see footage from the front line of Russians being killed just so Ukrainians out there can get off on it. Because, remember, it's happening to your side too. And, yeah, but of course, for most glazers, they don't care as long as it's not happening to them, isn't it? But Russia is not making advances in Kupiansk. They are getting backwards and forwards again. Ukrainian resistance in Kupiansk is high, as it is in some other places like Lyman. But it does come at an expense. In other areas, they do start losing territory. And they start being unable to, and they find it harder to defend themselves. And Kharkov got hit. Other areas, Russia's made small advances. But so far, nothing major has occurred. But the Russians are getting closer to, further away from Radinsky, getting closer to taking either Belinsky or Noviched or Volokhovka. And this will probably damage, a lot of people's psyche who have really married their ego to the fact that this second and third fortress line, I mean, it's almost as if for years now they've known what's going to happen and they've been planning for it. Now, I know people in the UK are hearing news about reports of a Russian attack, it being an imminent threat to the UK. That's laughable. I mean, the Russian warships, for a start, have to get through the Baltic. Then they have to get all the way around past the American submarines. It's not happening. Why would they do it? Why would they start World War III over Ukraine now? Doesn't make sense. Zelensky's trying to scare you into going to war, preemptive strike, in order to win so he can have his little victory and claim it was Ukraine all along. It's just like how they show a picture of a 727 armed to the teeth with guns sticking out the side and saying, "We did it first." No, you didn't. The US didn't even do it first. The first fixed-wing aircraft shooting down drones, British Spitfire, World War II. The Ukrainians are trying to rewrite history. What's it called? The Spectre gunship in Vietnam. They copied it. Actually, the one in Ukraine is a copy of a Chinese gunship that was recently at the Saudi, shown off by the Russians in Saudi Arabia. It's believed it's based on old Soviet designs taken from the Spectre gunship. So, why people are so desperate about making Ukraine look better than it is, I think it's just ego wanting to blow, to tear others down. We're going to make the world more fair and equal, so we're going to make sure that everyone gets a gold star beside their name. Yeah. If it wasn't for Russia being Russia's the size of, it's the largest country in the world almost, if not is. Yeah, I think it is the largest country in the world. And, got the economy the size of Italy. And yet you can't beat it, right? You've got all of Europe pouring twice the amount of money, right? And half again from the US. You got the entire Ukrainian economy. You got you got 5% of Europe's economy, a couple of percentage points of the American economy poured into Ukraine every month, the best weapons in the world, and they can't beat little old Russia. So, don't tell me they're all that. Right? Don't tell me how brave they are. Because real bravery is standing up for what's right, not standing as a group for what's convenient. Real bravery is standing against war in the face, is standing up in the face of adversity and telling the warmongers to go fuck themselves, because they don't fight the war. The people who cheer the war the most don't fight it, won't fight it. In fact, would cry if they were told they had to go fight it. Yet, they don't want Ukrainian men to leave Ukraine because it's somehow their sacred duty to defend Ukraine. Really. Tell that to all the... And yes, that goes... They tell that to Bill Clinton. Hey, he wouldn't fight for America in Vietnam. And I know people are going to say, but Trump. Yeah, but you can't say but Trump. You've got Clinton. You never called him out. Now, there's not much else to report going on in Ukraine right now as far as the front goes. The Russians seem to be making little movement except for here and the rest of the front, little bits, but nothing significant. But it's inching closer, although they got stopped here again. It's like this area here always seems to be just Ukraine seems to have some advantage there that Russia, it's the same in many parts. I think Russia's reaching the limits of its limits. And I don't know, is it? Because they've definitely proven in the past they can hold the line. It's just that for now, I guess you call it preservation of manpower. So it's weighing on everyone's mind, I know, in halls of power around the world. When is Putin going to call it quits? And they want him to call it quits, but not Xi. And we'll get to that soon. But first, a little reminder, this channel is sponsored by you, the viewing audience. When I say my merch store, empirevalves.myshopify.com. That's empirevalves, one word, myshopify.com. Get your Magic Reveal Dark Magic Coffee Cup, ceramic, your two-tone. You got your white on white. You got your yellow. Got your pink. Got your greens. Got your reds. Ooh, that's a nice coffee cup. So is the blue. The red, the black, and the blue. Now, I have the blue in the Aid cup right here. Moving on. We've seen a number of new designs and new changes to add the final version of the BTR. For now, is, ta-da, the BTR 82A. As you can see, it's got the 30mm cannon, which Russia's stuck onto almost everything. Heck, I've even seen one on the back of a pickup truck, believe it or not. And in recent Baltic landings at, what's it called, Karlskrig? That place used to be German/Polish, is currently, or Estonian, or whatever you want to call it. The edge of Germanica is still occupied by Russia. The BTR 82A has a number of new electronic warfare features, a number of anti-drone hatches, little spy hatches around the side, and of course it's got its offset 12.7mm and its 30mm main gun. And before anyone says striker, yeah, I know. Who doesn't know? But it's also got the, gosh, look at it, split brass. Gosh, that'd be awesome. Just to go on a weekend to... It's a weekend shooting in my BTR. What are you hunting? Who cares? Targets. But drones technology, as you can see, the Ukrainians are getting hammered by drones, a couple every day. 6 vehicles just at Kharkov, which is... But there you go. The BTR is made for semi and full amphibious assaults. It's first and foremost primarily a troop carrier, but lately, as you can see, it's been fitted with jammers for drones. It's got 3 anti-frequency, frequency jamming. It's got various other features. I'm trying to think. What do you call it? You got your gun, electronic warfare, and counter-drone technology. Yeah. But most of it is still, of course, need to know. So we don't really get much on what is really under the hood, other than a big engine and a lot of coat cages. Now it does. It has 2 layers. It has the standard, as you can see, grille and the side grille common to Russia, and the add-on cages. Now here it is without the grille or the cages. But here it is going over the side of a ship, proving that it can float. This is the recent drills that in the Baltic that had Europe hissing and whining and pissing in their cups. Skip the ads, but here we go. Yeah, you got your coat cages bolted on. You got your various protected external camera views. I think it's got a whole bunch of them, like 8 or something. It's got the standard headlight for street. It's got the spotlight, which is covered right now. It's got infrared. It's got various vents. It's got a drone buddy. It's got an identifier for a broad jam, to identify and broadly jam. But it's not like that all the time. There it is. This is the system that Russia says is going to change the nature of the war. That is until eventually Ukraine gets hold of one and sells it to the highest bidder. Because, 5 points going to make the pocket money for Zelensky. Cocaine does it by itself, Alright, so there's not a lot that I see is going to make a big difference, other than maybe as a mobile anti-drone system, it might make a difference. It might actually make a bit of a difference in small drones. But most of the time, most of the big drones, they're going to be lighter, faster, and higher flying than your 30mm gun is capable of dealing with, unless you're near the target and you catch it before it becomes a threat coming in. But Russia's making sure, that it is still getting exports on its technology as well. Now, according to Ukraine Pravda and many other outlets, Estonia has shot down a stray drone for the first time. Ukraine denies that it's Ukrainian, but they did at least report. Estonia reported that it shot down a Ukrainian drone that strayed into Estonia. How far? It flew up its border and was somewhere up here. It was flying towards. It was shot down. Right? It was 80 kilometers from the Russian border. It wasn't heading into Russia. So why? What was its purpose? Yeah. Ukraine just doesn't want to talk, of course, to Estonia or any others. They don't all they do is say, you give me money, we defend you from Russia. And people are going, no, that's not how it works. But Ukraine's pumped out a lot of anti-Trump stories, and Donald Trump shot back at one of them, citing in a source, European Pravda, this is Ukraine Pravda, European Pravda reported that Trump spoke to Xi about Putin regretting the war, and in that exchange, allegedly Xi told Trump the Chinese leader made a remark about wide-ranging talks that touched on Ukraine. Now, Xi did publish, as he publishes a lot of his speeches, in which he cited concerns about the course of the Ukraine war and escalation. Somehow that is turned to Xi saying that Putin will regret the attack on Ukraine, and that Ukraine, yeah. The US president himself, that Xi never made such a remark. Xi's words are available. Okay, it's called Xi's Thoughts. Okay, he publishes almost daily. If you want to know what he told Trump, he publishes it. Usually a week. So usually it takes about a week, but it'll be published. He even puts them out in book form if you're really that dedicated. The man is prolific, and if anything else, he's prolific at speeches. Now, Trump did admit to discussing it, and that they both agreed to get them both to stop fighting. China said, you can't have one without the other, right? You can't have Russia stop if Ukraine won't. Okay? China even stood with Russia and says, we'll stand by you. And if it turns into an invasion, we'll defend you. So remember, there are two sides to every story, and one side does not like you, China, and doesn't care what you have to think, Russia, and only is using you, Ukraine. And if you think Trump doesn't know this, man, you don't know Trump. Everybody hates Zelensky. You've seen how European leaders have moaned and groaned every time he comes for a visit, how they keep saying, this could just be a phone call with Zelensky. And he's getting in people's faces, and it's going to turn sour. It's not long now. But now, I reported yesterday this as a defection. Russia's now reporting it as a capture. So, which is it? Probably both. But they're now reporting the Ukrainian intelligence officer as a captured intelligence officer, even though he's been on Russian state television giving interviews as a defector, saying he doesn't want to return to Ukraine. He doesn't like the situation in Ukraine. He surrendered to the Russians near Zaporozhye. He's not a prisoner of war. He's a protected person with of national interest. So he'll be a quasi-prisoner for the rest of his life, but he'll have a lot of free movement around parts of Russia where most foreigners aren't allowed to go. There are parts of Russia where foreigners aren't welcome or allowed. There's a difference. There are parts you can go when you're not welcome, and other parts that'll get you arrested. Also, I've been told, I've never really looked down on travelling into Russia, other than that one time for that one long time ago when they had a football match on, back when I was interested in sports. But sports has become so corrupt that I just can't watch it. Now, isn't it amazing? Europe, who talks about human rights and free movement for it, has suddenly turned around and says, no, you have no rights to leave Ukraine. Who's those who have no right? Men, of course. Men have no rights according to the European Commission. And, of course, a defamation campaign waged by rival parties and the media against the German opposition that has resulted in hundreds of violent attacks and a number of deaths at the hands of fanatics. And yet they blame everything on the AD, Alternative for Deutschland. And it is the most popular party. Now, Russia has not yet made any concerns. They're watching the situation closely. And so far, they have not made any real comment. But the real thing is, the so-called Christian Democratic Union is not very Christian at all. Their enmity for Russia, yeah. Don't judge unless you want to be judged by the same standard, Mrs. Merkel 2.0. Now, this is a standard photo showing the 203 tulip rolling into a town. It is a heavy piece of artillery that is commonly seen in assault. Sorry, not tulip. This is the. It's not the 203 either. It's the 152 mass BS, the long range 152, long barrel 152, the super. I'm definitely compensating for something big gun. Now, Russian forces have yet to deploy many of the tulips, nor the siege gun. Now, I meant to look this up before. I just typed. Why didn't it? All right. Yeah. It's tis a 152. There are different models of it. There. A Catasta. Yeah, the self-propelled gun. I do have 6-inch gun. It's based on the British 25-pounder. Yeah, high trajectory, high. But there's another one. There's another one that I have yet to deploy. It's actually bigger than this, and they did refer to it as a siege gun. 76, that's the old one, 152. There we go. Yeah, there we go. They're all 152. Okay. Nope, there it is. The rocket. It is a rocket launcher. Yeah. It is technically, it was a gun, but it's now technically a rocket launcher. Yeah. I thought so. That's why. It is actually. Right now, it's not in service. 230 is in service. But yeah, as you can see, they've taken the 203. There aren't that many of them, and they are not making any more by the looks of it. The couple they made, I think, was it. They only make a few a year anyway. They are rarely used. But the bigger, I suppose the 203, probably highly inaccurate. That would be my guess. But still, Russia's made moves that have shown a consistent and slow, methodical approach to this war rather than bold strategic moves like Ukraine, which are short-lived. Ultimately, whose strategy will work does depend on money, weight of arms, not who's right or wrong. And of course, even in diplomacy, doesn't matter how right Russia can be or wrong Russia can be. There's many people in the world who will never recognize what someone can and can't do. If you can't give credit where credit is due, if you can't leave other countries alone, eventually all other countries will gang up on you. You have been warned. That's what BRICS is. It's everyone sick of your shit. Whether you're right or wrong doesn't matter anymore to them either. They're just sick of your shit. Your constant negativity. Your constant complaining. Your constant putting them down, Europe. A lot of people, even in America, are sick of Europe's shit. Always think they're I just did a video on bad behavior. Condescending, constantly negative. It's all, you want to know bad behavior, why Russia's sick of Europe shit. Even when Europe's right, they're condescending. Right? And a lot of Americans are sick of Europe and they're, we're better than you. We're so liberal. And Trump says everything liberal turns to shit. And they're absolutely right. So thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and please support the channel. Now, in addition to buying one of my coffee cups, there's like, share and subscribe. And now like, costs nothing to subscribe, and comment below. If you're going to be respectful, you might actually get a thank you. But financial support, in addition to Empire of Elves, that's my Empire, that's one word, empireofelves.myshopify.com. There's Ko-Fi, Patreon, Future Fantasy at, Patreon/Future Fantasy, one word, Future Fantasy. My RPG for $1 a month, and support the channel, or buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye.